Chair, ready whenever you are.
Great, thank you, Sean. I'm going to wait just a few more minutes until I see all of the commissioners are here.
Ready?
I hear additional kids in the background. That must be Joe.
That is correct.
Good morning, Commissioner Payne. Good to hear you.
Yes, I have a very ouch. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We love to pound on them.
No.
Hey, buddy, you're going to go to Grammy and Papa's.
Look at another.
Good morning, Commissioner Walkinshaw.
Good morning.
All right, well, good morning to everyone. I'm Sarah Augustine. I'm the chair of the Washington State Redistricting Commission, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the first public outreach meeting of the 2021 redistricting cycle. To kick things off, we're going to play a video message from the commissioners. Sean? Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Augustine. I'm the chair of the Washington State Redistricting Commission, recently chosen by the 4 voting members of the commission to facilitate and to lead this effort.
Hello, everyone. I'm Commissioner April Sims.
I'm Commissioner Joe Fain.
I'm Commissioner Brady Pinheiro-Wackenshaw.
I'm Commissioner Paul Graves. I'm one of 4 voting members recently appointed by the state legislative leadership of the Washington State Redistricting Commission.
Once a decade, we redraw our congressional and state legislative district boundaries using data the Census Bureau collected last year, reflecting changes made to the population in the last 10 years.
States across the nation handle redistricting in different ways.
In Washington, the state constitution and law establish an independent redistricting commission.
As commission members, we've committed ourselves to a process that is open,
transparent,
and credible.
These maps will belong to all the people of Washington.
With that in mind, we encourage you to help us draw your WA.
The Commission will hold virtual public outreach meetings focused on populations residing in each of Washington's 10 congressional districts,
as well as additional outreach meetings to be scheduled soon.
Live Spanish and American Sign Language interpretations will be available for each of these meetings.
With your unique insights about the community, we will work to ensure a credible redistricting process, resulting in maps reflecting fair representation for all Washingtonians.
Please take part. After all, it's really your map.
So come help us draw your WA.
Help us draw our WA.
Come help us draw your WA.
So please help us draw your WA.
All right, thank you. And I'd like to call this meeting to order. And I am going to just talk to the public for a moment. Welcome, we're glad that you're here joining us. It's my goal as the chair to facilitate a process that is participatory, fair, and as equitable as possible. I will endeavor to engage communities across Washington as fully as I can and to hear and address your concerns and requests. Throughout our tenure as commissioners, we will hear public comments that are important. We will listen to you, and I will do my best to synthesize the comments and will endeavor to respond as we're able. Still, it is possible that you will bring forward in your public comments, ideas, and requests injustices that we may not be able to address. We will certainly deliberate on the issues where we do have jurisdiction. Where we don't, I will do my best to refer you to those who may be able to respond more effectively. I want to begin with reiterating our purpose and our values. Together as a commission, we have agreed to the following values and mission: to provide an open, transparent, credible process that is grounded in statute and where all voices are welcome and there is access for everyone; to conduct ourselves with transparency, respect, and civility, where commissioners will participate and negotiate in good faith; and to meet the deadline outlined by law, and to produce the best possible maps. I now want to just go over the process for today's meeting. You may be aware that because of the pandemic, this redistricting cycle promises to be a challenging one. While we should have received the data from the Census Bureau that we need for redistricting by April 1st of this year, we don't expect to have that data we need to draw maps until the second half of August. Nonetheless, based on population estimates that have been ongoing over the last decade, we do know to some degree that in the 7th Congressional District and several of the legislative districts within it have too many residents compared to other areas of the state. So these districts are going to have to get smaller in terms of the area that they cover. The purpose of our meeting today is to listen to your input about your community and how to ensure that the districts are fairly balanced in terms of population, but also recognize shared community interests. The Commission may not be able to meet every interest, but as commissioners try to weigh the trade-offs inherent in this process, your opinions are welcome. In the 7th Congressional District this morning, we have 24 individuals who have signed up to testify. We're going to invite individuals to come forward in groups of 3 to testify. Each individual will have 2 minutes to offer their comment. After 3 people have testified, we will see if the commissioners have any questions for the 3 testifiers, and then we'll move on to the next group. Today, our web technician, Sean Murray, will facilitate public testimony so that I can attend fully to what you're saying. Sean will call your name, at which time your status in Zoom will change from the observer to panelist. So the transition may cause your screen to look different, and please don't disconnect at that point. In just a few seconds, you will become visible to the commission. When Sean calls your name, you will have 2 minutes to speak. A countdown clock will appear on your screen. At the end of your allotted time, you will be muted. We recognize that 2 minutes is a very brief time in which to share your comments. We are interested in what you have to say and urge you to send your written comments to us via our email address, that is comment@redistricting.wa.gov. Sean, let's begin.
Absolutely. Good morning, Chair. Good morning,
morning.
fellow commissioners. We had 24 individuals sign up for today's meeting. And as of right now, we only have 6 who have showed up. So we will start at the top of the list with Andrew Wong, Don Bennett, and Mary Porter.
So, Mr. Wong, if you would like to begin.
Is that Hong or?
I apologize. Yes, Hong.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay. Hi, my name's Andrew Hong. I am a member of the Redistricting Justice for Washington Coalition within the Washington Community Alliance, and we are a coalition of dozens of community groups across Washington State, from Puget Sound to Spokane, pushing for fair and equitable maps. Our priorities are keeping communities of color together, maximizing majority people of color legislative and congressional districts, and putting community priorities over partisan interests. Specifically in the 7th Congressional District, our, the thing that we want to highlight is keeping communities of color together. And at the southern border of the 7th Congressional District, there are communities of color like White Center and East Burien that are majority Latino communities. And we believe in strengthening the majority people of color in 9th Congressional District is a top priority for our coalition. And we would like to explore avenues in which communities of color in East Burien and White Center are added into the 9th Congressional District. We believe that those communities will be better represented and have more power when collectively meshed with the communities of color that are the majority in the 9th Congressional District. And especially as the 7th Congressional District probably geographically shrinks due to population growth, we believe that a really good area to, put that, lost area, geographic area from the 7th is for that southern part of the 7th Congressional District to move into the 9th, where there are a lot of communities of color. Yeah, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Sean, do you want to call the next person?
Don Bennett, if you don't mind starting your testimony. Thank you.
I'm cutting out my picture because in order to help my audio. I am a long-term resident of Burien and have enjoyed having consistent representation at the congressional level in the 7th. My request of the commission is more to prioritize municipal boundaries. The city of Burien has wandered around between the 34th
Don, are you still there?
municipal level somewhat more difficult. My understanding is the city of Kent is split between 5 legislative districts. So in your future deliberations, I would like to see municipal boundaries be more highly prioritized when drawing these legislative district boundaries. Thank you for the opportunity to go ahead and testify. I hope this has predominantly come through.
Thank you. You did cut out for a little while there. So if you would be willing to write and submit over email, that would be helpful. We want to make sure we get all of your testimony, and you'll have, if you please stay on, you'll have a few minutes to answer questions for the commissioners here when the third panelist has completed her testimony. Sean?
Absolutely. And with that, Mary Porter, please begin your testimony. You are still muted.
I'm Mary Porter, and I'm actually in the 5th district. And I misunderstood. I think I'm in the 7th district within Spokane County, and that's what I thought we were going to redistrict Spokane County. So it was very confusing to me. So I'm saying hello from way on the other side of the state. And, you know, I apologize for the confusion. So I guess I'm not going to testify for the 7th district, Washington State from the 5th. So thank you anyway.
So Ms. Porter, are you signed up for this afternoon? Because the 5th district meeting is today from 1 to 3.
Okay, maybe that's what I thought. So I'll sign up for that one and see you then.
So Sean, is it possible for Ms. Porter to sign up for that?
If you would like an exception shared, we can do that.
Yes, please.
So Ms. Porter, if you don't mind signing up again, and we will make sure that you get approved for that.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Ms. Porter, if you attempt to sign up and it doesn't work out, just send us an email and we'll make sure you're in there. So please do come at 1. Thank you. All right, so that concludes our first panel, and I want to ask the panelists now, or the commissioners, excuse me. Commissioners, do you have questions for Mr. Hong or Mr. Bennett? Commissioner Fain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a question for Mr. Hong. Very familiar with the part of town he's talking about. What would you envision the southern boundary of the 9th Congressional District being, and how much of that kind of Puget Sound coastal area do you think would be appropriate to bring in if you were to swing the 9th Congressional District over further west?
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, I think of course we need to be looking at like how much the 7th is going to shrink, and that'll tell like a lot of, you know, where the coalition would, and where I would personally like want to cut into. However, I think the priority for us will be, not so much geography, like, like specific land, but like what communities and the demographics of the communities we're looking at where to cut in. I think we really want maybe not so much of the coastal parts of like Burien and those kind of in West Seattle, but more like making sure that White Center and East Burien, where predominantly the Latino communities in that area live, get into the 9th Congressional District. Otherwise, I don't think the coalition, nor do I have much of a preference, just making sure those, based on our census data, like those majority Latino communities are in the 9th.
Thank you for that, and thanks for being a voice for that that part of the state. A very important part of the state for me personally.
Same.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hong. Commissioner Sims, Commissioner Wackenshaw, Commissioner Graves, do you have additional questions for Mr. Bennett or Mr. Hong? All right, terrific. Thank you. I want to thank the panels for Mr. Hong and Mr. Bennett for coming to testify today. Sean, if you'd be willing to call our next panel.
Absolutely. Next, we have Melissa Taylor, Rachel Bergson. I apologize if I mispronounced that, and then Stephen Wilhelm.
Thank you, Commissioner or Ms. Taylor, please. If you'd be willing to begin. Ms. Taylor.
Thank you. Melissa Taylor, I live in North Seattle. I was recently selected to serve on a jury, and that prompted me to think about what evidentiary standards should be used to determine whether someone continues in an office of public trust, such as the one that you all are in. The standard in civil cases is preponderance of evidence, also known as more likely than not. It seems to me that the burden of proof should be even lower when determining when someone should be given additional privileges versus this civil scenario where privileges are taken away. In 2018, I read and watched all of the coverage of the allegation of rape made against Commissioner Fain. I have recently revisited it all to affirm my previous assessment of the likelihood that Commissioner Fain did in fact rape Candace Faber. Here are the factors that I find most relevant. There is a photo of the two of you from that evening, including the black dress that her mother confirms repairing the next morning. There are the conversations she had with her mother, her father, and her friends, sometimes naming her rapist, sometimes not. There are the letters and blogs that she wrote, again, not naming her rapist, and then later naming you, Commissioner Fain. There are the messages and emails that the two of you exchanged. There's Kathy Lambert's statement that young women should not—
Excuse me, Ms. Taylor, I'm going to interrupt you there. And because this is a redistricting commission meeting, I wonder if you can direct your comments about redistricting. So what I mean is, if you have a comment about the commission or an action you'd like the commission to take, I wonder if you can do that. And then, okay, great. So go ahead, and then you can submit the rest in writing. Thank you. Do you had more?
I'm sorry, I was prepared for a different conversation. Basically, Commissioner Fain's supporters believe that he had sex with Candace Faber. The question is whether there was consent. And I don't think that he was—
No, this is conversation about redistricting today.
But he could be blackmailed because of this. Our district lines impacted.
So if you could just make your comments about redistricting, that's what would be great. So if you want to say this is how it relates to redistricting, that would be fabulous.
Okay. So these lines will determine our political future for the next 10 years. They will determine how laws are made at the legislative district level, at the state level, at the congressional level. When somebody has been credibly accused of rape, any cover-up then becomes an additional crime, and it lengthens the statute of limitations. And because of that, that makes Commissioner Fain more susceptible to potential blackmail and influence on our boundaries that I do not find appropriate and I am deeply concerned about.
Thank you. I appreciate those comments. Thank you. Sean, if you'd like to call the next person on our panel.
It looks like Commissioner Walkinshaw has a question.
Oh, can we, Commissioner Walkinshaw, would it be okay with you if we wait until our process today is we're going to have 3 panelists and then questions. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next panelist, please.
Stephen Wilhelm, if you don't mind beginning your testimony.
Good morning, and thank you, commissioners, for doing this difficult and important work to redraw our legislative boundaries. My name is Stephen Wilhelm, and I live in Edmonds, Snohomish County, near the border with King County. That places me in the 32nd Legislative District, along with Linwood and Montlake Terrace in Snohomish, and Shoreline and Seattle in King County. Most of Edmonds is contained within the 21st Legislative District and is entirely in Snohomish County. My request is that you modify the 21st and 32nd Legislative Districts so that they do not divide Edmonds, Shoreline, and Seattle, and do not divide Snohomish and King counties. This modification would have the added benefit of not dividing Edmonds and Shoreline school districts between legislative districts. I believe it's possible to create new districts and maintain local boundaries better and have fewer county and municipal divisions in the existing map. I recommend you examine a draft legislative map that was developed by the Washington League of Women Voters, and that's attached to my written testimony. In their map, the 21st and 32nd legislative districts are more compact and contained entirely within Snohomish County. And the 21st legislative district contains the entire city of Edmonds. I feel that my voice would be heard much more clearly if I were able to cast my votes in a district with my fellow Edmonds and Snohomish County residents and not have to compete against the slightly more urban interests of Shoreline, Seattle, and King County. Thank you for hearing my testimony and for carefully considering this request.
Thank you. We appreciate your testimony today. Please stay on and the commissioners will have the opportunity to ask you questions should they need to do that. I think our next person is Ms. Bergson. Is Ms. Bergson here?
I am prompting them to turn on their video. I have not gotten a response yet. So Rachel Bergson, if you don't mind turning on your video and unmuting to begin testimony. And while we're waiting for that, share. Oh,
sorry, I'm actually not. I work for Congresswoman Jayapal. I'm not here to testify. I'm here to listen and observe. So thank you so much, and I'll hire.
Thank you. All right, terrific. So our 2 panelists, if you want to turn your videos on again, and you can unmute. And I'm going to ask the commissioners now if you have questions for our panelists. Commissioner Walkinshaw, I know you had a question.
I did. Just for the record, I did think that Melissa Taylor's testimony was relevant to the record. And I would like to ask if she would like to complete her testimony that she'd be allowed to.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. Again, this is not how I expected this morning to go. So I think, where was I? Kathy Lambert. So in her support of Commissioner Fain, Kathy Lambert said that women should not go to hotel rooms with men who are drunk. I don't know whether Commissioner Fain had a conversation with Kathy indicating that he did in fact go to a hotel room with Candace Faber, or if that is an assumption that Kathy made. But I find it deeply disturbing that both Kathy, who is also an elected official, and Commissioner Fain both think that it's appropriate to say that women who go to hotel rooms with men who are drunk deserve to be raped. I find that appalling. The additional details that I have watched in terms of the interviews with Candace Faber and reading through her own writing, some of it before she came forward and some of it after, convince me that it is more likely than not that it needs a reasonable evidence standard from a civil standard And there was an investigation opened in 2018 that Commissioner Fain and his colleagues blocked so that we, as public, could not get access to the full set of information. And I find that all deeply disturbing. I am concerned about Commissioner Fain's ongoing participation in this decision-making process, and I think he should resign.
Thank you. Additional questions from other commissioners? Commissioner Fain.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and address this one time. There's been several very libelous statements that you've made that are provably false, and I am absolutely not going to be leaving this commission. I appreciate that you have deep concern for this issue. You have been completely misled on the matter, and I just want to make it very clear. I am not going to be leaving this commission. I'm very excited about the work ahead of us, and I would caution folks that are coming before the commission to make false statements that are provably false, that they open themselves up to some jeopardy. So please be careful and make sure that your comments are supported by the facts.
Could you please help me understand which allegations?
All right, I would like to, I am going to intervene here because we are not having a hearing now about this. This is an opportunity for people from the 7th district to talk about redistricting. And so I've heard you, Ms. Taylor, and your concerns. And what I want to do is make sure that everyone who has signed up to testify today has an opportunity to do that. So I'm going to ask Commissioner Sims and Commissioner Grays if you have additional questions for the panel.
I do have a question for Mr. Wilhelm. I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. It sounded like your suggestion is that Edmonds is a somewhat different, a little less urban community than Shoreline and the rest of Seattle, and so should be by itself, or at least have a stronger impact on its legislative and congressional district. Is that fair to say?
I think I would agree with that, sir. My feeling is that Snohomish County is very slightly more rural than King County, and Edmonds is very slightly more rural than Seattle. And so for that reason, to kind of maintain those communities of interest, I think it would be beneficial to put all of Edmonds in one district in Snohomish County.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, I would thank you very much, Ms. Taylor and Mr. Stevens, for being willing to testify today. And I want to ask Sean to, I'm sorry, Commissioner Sims, do you have another question?
Not so much a question, but I think a statement. I really appreciate the courage that it takes for folks to come before this commission and offer their testimony, the time that they spend preparing their testimony and participating in this process. And I think if we are going to censor or filter what testimony we're willing to accept as a commission, then we should probably consider guidelines and make sure that the folks who are coming before this commission know, how to best prepare for their presentation today. So I just want to express my gratitude and appreciation for all the folks coming before the commission and offering their testimony. And I think it's worth a conversation as a commission in terms of how we want to move forward, so that when folks come before us, we don't interrupt their testimony, but we provide them the space that they need to engage in this process.
Thank you, Commissioner Sims. Are there additional questions or comments for our panel? Okay, thank you. Sean, will you please call the next panel?
That is everyone we have in the meeting currently, Chair.
Okay. Why don't we take a short break and see if additional folks are going to come to the meeting. Why don't we let's take a 5-minute break. Thank you.
Sean, this is Sue Garcia. Are you still there? You're muted.
How can I help?
Thank you. I don't have the ability to chat with you and I don't have your email address. Just, it would be helpful if I could get a copy of the people who have signed up before we begin so I can make sure that they're identified properly in the record. That would be helpful to me if that's possible.
Yeah, I will send that
Great.
right over.
Something else occurred to me and now I can't remember what it is. I'll probably remember it later. Thank you for jumping in.
Absolutely. And I'll send that right over.
All right, so I would like to begin again as soon as I see all of the commissioners are back. Terrific. So I would like to begin by making a general comment. First, I want to apologize for any background noise that you may hear. There is some construction that is unfortunately happening in the building today, and I'm at the place where I have the most stable internet, which is my office. And this is happening. My landlord is hoping for this to happen this weekend, since the assumption was no one would be in the building. So I apologize for any bumps and noise that you may hear. The statement I would like to make is simply this. This forum is an opportunity for people to engage in a conversation around redistricting. And I have the broadest possible sense of what that is. And like all of the commissioners, I am open to hearing all testimony related to redistricting. I don't intend for there to be any censorship. What I do want to make sure, though, is that each person that testifies is relating those comments directly to redistricting. So when I interrupted the panelists that went in the last panel, my intention was to make sure that she would include in her comments the way that this relates to redistricting. It was not intended to shut her down or silence her. The opposite, to make it relevant so that our commission can maintain credibility and so that she can maintain credibility. That's my intention. So I recognize when a person is testifying and they're interrupted, they've prepared comments, it's stressful in the first place. I understand that. And I want to make it clear that as the chair, it's not my intention to silence a person or to make a person even more flustered than they're potentially already, rather to make sure that that comment is relevant to what we're doing here. So what I was trying to do was ask that person who is testifying, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name at the moment, and I don't want to say the wrong name, it was to just make her comments relevant for the legitimacy of our commission. I would like to offer the opportunity for the other commissioners to comment on what I've just said. I take, excuse the noise, I take very seriously, Commissioner Sims, your guidance to provide some guidance around what we hope would be included in the testimony, and I'd be happy to do that. In fact, I think we started that way, and I can do that again. We can circulate that and post it. And again, the goal is to make it as open as possible. We have made a commitment to be open and transparent, and that is my commitment as well. All right, if there aren't additional comments or questions from the commissioners, I would like to invite or ask you, Sean, are any of our panelists available at this point?
We have Andrew Hong, Don Bennett, Melissa Taylor, and Stephen Wilhelm still in the meeting as attendee, and Andrew Hong has his hand raised.
Okay, great. So before we bring Andrew Hong back, I also want to let the public know and the commissioners that I don't have a way to know who's with us. Sean is helping me with that. And so it's also not my intention to truncate a meeting or cut people off from time. The list I have says we have 24 panelists, so that's what I'm going off of. And so I don't know until Sean tells me how many people are in the room. So I want you to understand that also. So I think since we have plenty of time, it's completely fine with me at this point to invite Mr. Hong back to the space. Welcome, Mr. Hong.
Hello, Commissioner. Thank you. Two things. One of my colleagues, Katie Stoltz, tried to register for testimony, but I think she missed the noon cutoff yesterday. Would it be possible for me to get a link to send her to do testimony? Is that okay?
Sean, is that possible?
Her name was Katie Schultz.
Yes.
Yes, that should be possible. Let me double check that I can find her real quick.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and let me know, I can text it to her or let me know what way it'll get to her or what way is best to get to her.
She should just have received a link in her email.
Great, thank you. And then number two, I want to echo everything that Ms. Taylor said, and I think that that conversation is relevant to redistricting as an outside force that could influence the commissioner. So I do think it's relevant on a personal note. Thank you, that's all I have.
Great, thanks. Comments, questions for Mr. Hong? All right, thank you. Sean, are there additional people who have come in to testify?
No, Chair, it is just Mr. Hong along with the other three who have testified.
All right, well, why don't we wait? Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Walkinshaw.
Thank you, Commissioner. Allie O'Neill, who works with me, just texted me to inform me that there were a couple emails that came into all of our inboxes of additional people who wanted to testify. I think she shared with me that there were 2 people. I'm not sure if we would like to let them in to testify, if there's time permitting.
We have time, so I'm open to that. Sean, are you able to see those emails?
Yes, I am looking through them now. Would you like me to accept all of those who requested after they had signed up past the cutoff?
Sure.
Hi, this is Andrew Hong again. I just want to let y'all know that Katie says she's in the meeting now.
Great, thank you.
And I do see, Katie, would you like me to promote her, Chair?
Please, thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me this morning. This is my first time Zoom testifying, so this is very exciting. It's a whole new world.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I seem to be doing that a lot today. I can't see your name, so I wonder if you could tell me your first and last name, introduce yourself so I'll know how to refer to you.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Stoltz. I live in Congressional District 7, and I use she, her pronouns. I'll go ahead and get started. Is that correct? Okay.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Stoltz. I'm a constituent here in Congressional District 7, also a lifelong Washingtonian. I grew up in South King County, but I now live in District 7 in North Seattle. I'm joining today as a representative with the Redistricting Justice for Washington Coalition. We are a group of organizations from across the state that have been advocating for an accessible, transparent, and equitable redistricting process over the last 2 years. We are grateful for the Commission's commitment to public engagement. We're also grateful for the commitment to lifting up diverse leadership on this year's Commission for the first time in Commission history, specifically with the appointment of Commissioner April Sims and Commissioner Brady Pinheiro-Walkinshaw as a coalition that centers Black, Indigenous, and people of color voices in communities. We are grateful to see that representation reflected on the Commission this year. Since our coalition came together in 2019, we have had 3 guiding priorities, specifically keeping Indigenous nations together as a prioritized and protected community of interest in this year's process, maximizing majority people of color districts, and keeping communities together when possible. In Congressional District 7, we've specifically heard interest from communities of color for moving parts of East Burien and White Center that are majority communities of color into Congressional District 9, which is currently a majority minority district. We plan to have scenario maps to show these options as a follow-up to testimony today, if you have more detailed questions that we can follow up with, as well as also specifically getting in connection with some of those specific folks in that community. I also wanted to lift up the importance of, I think that's all my time. So I just want to say thank you today for the time with all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Stoltz. And so because you're the only person on the panel, I think I want to ask the commissioners if they have additional questions for you, and it's okay for you to unmute at this point since you're the only person on the panel. All right, commissioners, questions or comments for Ms. Stoltz?
I left you all speechless.
Commissioner Walkinshaw, did you have something you wanted to ask or comment about?
Thank you for your testimony. Questions?
Ms. Stoltz, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Especially thank you for being willing to comment on the fly. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Sean, do we have additional people ready to speak?
Everyone who is currently in a meeting has already testified, Chair.
Okay, so I want to ask so let me just make sure that I understand. So we got some emails, there were additional people who wanted to testify. Have you sent links to those people?
I have, Chair.
Okay, so now what I'm going to suggest we do, and I apologize to everyone present, this is our first meeting. We're learning together how this works and working out the kinks. So why don't we take another break? And I wonder if we could just take a 10-minute break because I want to give folks an opportunity to come. And so they were just sent a link. They're not going to instantly be able to just hop on here. So why don't we just take a break? So why don't we come back at 11 and we'll see who we have, and then we can make a decision together how to move forward from there. Commissioner Sims, did you have something you wanted to add? Okay, great, thank you. So I'll see you all at 11.
Sounds good.
Heidi, can I help you with anything? Heidi, can I help you with anything? I'm not sure if your audio is connected. Hang on one second, I might have to switch channels. There you go. No, you're totally okay. I will reconnect you as a interpreter. Oh, it says you are. Perfect. Thank you. Chair, just so you're aware, there are no more individuals who have signed up, who we sent links to. No one else has showed up to the meeting.
Great, thank you. So let me wait just a few more minutes for the commissioners to come back, and then we'll make a determination. The 7th Congressional District is a very populated district. For those people joining us from the 7th today, I want to make it clear that this is not the last meeting we're going to have in the 7th District that the Redistricting Commission will have. There will be other opportunities. All right, so we're all back. And Sean, are there additional people ready to testify?
There are not, Chair.
Okay, so I want to ask the commission then, this meeting is due to end at noon, and it's 11 o'clock, and we do not have additional people to testify. Are you willing to end the meeting now, and we will work on providing additional meetings in the 7th as soon as we enter the second period of our public testimony meetings? Would you like to, are you open to that? Let me just begin there, commissioners. Commissioner Sims?
I'm open to that. That's fine with me.
Commissioner Fain?
Yeah, we've got plenty of time to come back and have meetings with this district or with smaller parts of this district. So that seems reasonable.
Great, thanks. Commissioner Walkinshaw?
Agree.
Okay, Commissioner Fain?
Madam Graves, my turn. And I agree.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Graves, I apologize.
No problem. I agree.
Okay, great. So I do want to say to members of the public, we recognize that one meeting is not enough. We will schedule additional meetings, and we appreciate those people who are willing to come together today, and we look forward to meeting with many more of you in the future. With that, I would like to